and taste. Sweet. Sour. So good to taste.
Welcome to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss, and we're coming to you from the Hy-Vee Club Room, and it's an extra special evening anytime that we do Italian food, as far as I'm concerned. Bobby would agree with me, I'm sure, and there's several other people here who would agree with me. And it's a very extra special time when we can have Gisella Isidori with us. Gisella is 79 years young, and she can run circles around anybody in this room, I guarantee it. And we're not going to try, though, to see if she can really do that, because she's too busy, because she has all these different dishes that she has to do, so that you all can eat at the end of our 60 minutes of delicious radio. But meantime, before we get to Gisella, we have to start with Emily Rose Shaw, our health coach, because she has very important things to tell us every single week. And so therefore, this month, on Healthy Bites, that means the month of August.
Yes.
Wait a minute. We've been discussing, but we haven't discussed anything this month yet. So it must have been last month that we've been discussing the idea that everyone has a unique relationship with food.
4-week period.
We're going to be discussing this month that everybody has a unique relationship with food. I certainly know I do. And this week, we're going to look back into time a little bit about our relationship to food based on childhood diet and family traditions. And I'm sure that would be an interesting story for anybody, because I would almost bet that most people in this room, or let me just ask, because I think it'll be interesting.
Okay.
How many people in this room eat completely different, basically, than the food they were raised on? How many people? Very interesting. That's what I thought. Almost everybody in this room. Very fascinating. Oh, I see somebody saying no. That was because your mother was Italian and she was into fresh food and she was really cool. Most of us didn't have that. We ate Green Giant buttered broccoli in pouches, and Wonder Bread, and right, it was, and Velveeta, lots of Velveeta. That was excellent. Anyway, we're gonna get back. So let's talk a little bit about that. Our food based on childhood diet and family traditions.
So that's right. Much of our personal relationship to food really originates from our family's relationship with food. So when you're growing up, normal food is really what your parents feed you. And all of our habits tend to really form from the family. So it's not just about what we eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it's also the serving sizes, it's whether we go for seconds or not, and even table etiquette. Everything from the environment in the dining room to whether, the TV was on, to the conversation that happened there. And then as we get older, we start to make decisions for ourselves about what to eat. And that can be hard because if we're changing that, we're so used to what seems normal as, the food that we grew up with, and we like what we're familiar with. An example would be kale. A lot of us are eating kale now. It's a lot more mainstream than 5 years ago. But the steps to start to integrate kale into your diet more and more can be a challenge for a lot of people. And that's really because a lot of us didn't grow up with it.
So, yes, we definitely like to be, we love to eat what's familiar and comforting. So I'm very interested in what you have to say about comfort food.
Yeah. So comfort foods, it's really the emotional, psychological connections to our past. And it's one of the types of cravings we discussed on the show a couple of weeks ago. So comfort foods are really going beyond the level of the physiology to the psychology. We crave foods that make us psychologically happy and really based on our past experience. So they're go-to foods in times of stress, sadness, or the opposite, celebration. And they're often simple, hearty dishes for like mashed potatoes or homemade bread. And they're really different for everyone because everyone has a different past experience. And men tend to prefer more savory and women more sugary and sweet. And they're really connected to family traditions, and we're trying to remake those happy memories. And the opposite is also true. If we grew up in an environment with our family at the table where there was arguing or there was tension, then we may have an entirely different relationship to food. We may have an emotional discomfort with a specific food or foods in general.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have the mealtime be really pleasant, actually, at all times, and a time for family to get together and have meaningful interaction.
It's very important to eat together as a family, or even, with your significant other, with your friends. According to research, eating together as a family on a regular basis really has some surprising effects. The family bonds become stronger, children are better adjusted, family members eat more nutritious meals in general, and we're also less likely to gain weight, to be overweight, and also kids are less likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. And it's also important for us to really stay on top of this new information, and especially moms and grandparents out there, to really set the trend for coming generations, I think, to really have a healthier food norm. And when you have a family, you're not just eating for yourself, you have a family to feed, so you can give kids an advantage or a disadvantage based on what you serve. And you can create new traditions that way. So I think we do have a responsibility to create healthy relationships with food that are passed down through generations, to really setting the standards for our kids. But also dinner time it's a time of relaxation. It's not a time for stress. So you can take it the other extreme too. Telling your kids you have to completely clean your plate, or you have to eat your vegetables, which is just important. But I think you can take it too far the other way. So it's about creating that happy atmosphere and using creative solutions for healthy eating.
What type of advice do you have for navigating through unhealthy family traditions?
I think, I'll just say that, for example, the tradition of Thanksgiving, even the tradition of everyone eating a lot and kind of groaning at the end together, I think that is, it's a comfort because you're doing it together. And, maybe grandma doesn't feel like she's a good host if she doesn't provide like 5 or 6 different kinds of pies. So as far as navigating through the family traditions, let's say you have a tradition of homemade ravioli in the family. And so there's different choices with that. One choice is you could make it a little healthier. You could cut down on the cheese that you use. You could use a tomato-based sauce instead of Alfredo or oil. You could stuff it with veggies, or you could use a whole grain flour. So those are all examples. But also, if it's really rich and you just want to stick to the tradition, as many people do, you can just eat less of it and you can practice mindful eating, as we've talked a lot about on the show. And then third, we've also talked about, maybe don't have that dish all the time, and you can mix it up with some healthier food. If you have the really rich ravioli for lunch, maybe you have a light salad for dinner, so there's that compromise.
That all sounds really good, and I'm very interested to hear what your action step is going to be.
I would just say that the action step would be to try and stay on top of some of this nutritional information that we have access to. I subscribe to Nutrition Action newsletter. It's a way to kind of stay up on that information. And then as far as implementing it into your family, maybe try one new healthy recipe a week and see who likes it and gradually rotate in new healthy options.
Okay, so now as far as comfort food is concerned, I have to put my 2 cents into this. And that is that I think that it's so important to us because it's built into our, I don't want to say it's into our DNA, but it's built into who we really are. Yeah. Food memory is such an important and critical part. I mean, my grandmother lives for the most part in my food memory. That's where she lives. So if I think about her, what I do is associate smells with her, for example. I associate her pot roast. I associate her gribben, which is Jewish fried chicken skin, and other wonderful, with onions, really great. Anyway, all kinds of things like that. And so I think that all those things are really enriching when you have those foods. You're re-experiencing these wonderful traditions that you had as a family. And so I like the approach of being, the mindful eating approach, which is instead of having that Thanksgiving again where you did physically groan, I mean, not just groan, but you might have had to go to the hospital or something like that, Well, but I did actually one time. Yeah. Yeah, because I wasn't practicing mindful eating.
Yeah, yeah.
And instead of that, really just have that balance. Think about what you're doing, enjoy the experience, but do it from a very intelligent vantage point.
Yeah, I think it's so key. I think, especially in America, we're rushing around so much all the time, and I just think that mindful eating is one of the best strategies that we can all practice relatively easily without dramatically changing our diet. I think it's important to have a healthy diet overall, but we don't necessarily have to have these restrictive diets. We can still enjoy some of these traditional foods that we love, but it really is about preparation and enjoying and savoring what you're eating, like they do like in Europe. Sit and enjoy, be with your family, and have a great time.
That's our health coach, Emily Rose Shaw. You can find her at emilyroseshaw.com. Thank you. Now, since we're talking about, healthy foods, This is the time of year when those beautiful red things start to appear on the vines, and you get to enjoy for maybe a couple of months amazing tomatoes, which are quite different than most of the tomatoes that we get to enjoy throughout the year. And I think that it deserves a song. What do you think? This is Tom Allen.
I agree with you that you were just mentioning it, and I have to make clear to you that that's where the word divine came from. On divine. Tomatoes on divine. That's where the word divine actually came from. Not everybody knows that.
That's why we don't talk to Tom very long during these shows, because of, stuff like that. But, okay, Tom, what's up?
Because I know things that nobody else knows. All right. Well, I got to tell you, going back in the family, my mother used to go on in a rapturous kind of a tone about picking a fresh tomato right out of the garden and eating it out there in the garden. And this song is Homegrown Tomatoes. Guy Clark did it, and I couldn't really discern what the melody was from hearing him sing it. So you will not do any damage by joining me in on the chorus on this. And so there's a part that I want you to sing, and it goes like this. There's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Okay? So whenever you start hearing, there's only two things that money can't buy, get ready. And that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Okay?
I think that was really poor. Would you like to try that again, please?
You got to have a lot more adenosine triphosphate in your.
Does everybody know what he said? And that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Can you remember that? Hopefully, okay.
Okay, there's only two things that money can't buy, and that's
better. But we need it to be louder because this is a unidirectional mic, which means that it's picking up me for the most part. And I'm not going to sing, so that means you guys have to be louder, okay? All right.
A little bit louder and a little bit louder. Okay. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? There's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love. Wow, that's pretty good. There's nothing in the world that I like better than bacon, lettuce, and homegrown tomatoes. Up in the morning, out in the garden, pick your ripe one and don't get a hard one. Plant 'em in the springtime, eat 'em in the summer. All winter long without 'em is a culinary bummer. And I can't see the music because the mic is in the way. Which is a minor problem. Okay, not enough homegrown tomatoes causes a guy to cough. Okay. I forget all about the sweating and the digging every time I go out and pick up me a big one. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? There's only two things that money can't buy. And my goodness.
Louder.
You can go out and eat them. Oh, that's for sure. But there's nothing a homegrown tomato won't cure. You put them in a salad, put them in a stew. You can make your very own tomato juice. You can eat them with eggs. You can eat them with gravy. You can put them in beans and pinto or navy. Put them on the side. Put them in the middle. Homegrown tomatoes on a hot cake grill. Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. What'd life be without homegrown tomatoes? There's only two things that money can't buy. That's true love and homegrown tomatoes. If I could If I could change this life I lead, you could call me Johnny Tomato Seed. I know what this country needs. It's homegrown tomatoes in every yard you see. When I die, don't bury me in a box in a cold, dark cemetery. Out in the garden would be much better, where I could be pushing up homegrown. You can see it's coming pretty soon. Tomatoes! Everybody.
One last time.
Homegrown tomatoes, homegrown tomatoes. There's nothing to believe without homegrown tomatoes. There's only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Woo! Thank you very much for helping me out.
I'll tell you, you never know what's going to happen on this show. Okay, so you're listening to KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss. This is Great Taste, 60 minutes of delicious radio, and we have with us the inimitable Gisella Isidori. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm coming again. This is what? Second time in a year. So.
We're very, very happy to have you.
Grazie mille. Grazie. And thank you. So many people coming. And we have a lot of things to talk about as soon as we get ready with some food. Because to talk and to make a decision with the empty stomach is no good. So it's better that you have it with the... Because you have to make a decision to come to Italy.
That's right. That's right. So the besides homegrown tomatoes, the other thing that we have plenty of starting maybe a couple of weeks ago and going on for several weeks is zucchini. I mean, there is zucchini in all kinds of, there's summer squash in all kinds of different sizes and all kinds of different shapes and all kinds of different colors and all kinds of different types. So we decided to feature zucchini on the show because most people, they have so much in their gardens they can't figure out what to do with it. So we're going to be doing several dishes, right, with zucchini.
3 dishes.
3. That's more than 2, right?
Yes.
So what do we have? We have
a zucchini salad that is typical from the region of Campania, Naples. It's very special. It's a very simple salad. The only problem today, it takes long to fry the zucchini, so it will take a little longer to have the salad.
They'll wait.
They'll wait. Okay. This is typical. Very, very good for the summer. And it's very simple. It's just the zucchini, some good vinegar, garlic, and fresh mint. And you will see how good it is. And then the second thing is we do balls, not meatballs, but zucchini balls with ricotta, cheese, and you can have it in a small little bowl, and you can serve with pasta if you want, or you can just have it bigger and make like an hamburger. Only it's made with zucchini and ricotta and other cheese. And
you could also serve it just as an antipasto, as a first dish, right? With just the little ball.
If you make a tiny little ball, you can serve as an antipasto. Or, as I say, you can put it in with pasta. That is excellent. Instead to have meatballs, you have zucchini balls.
Now let's talk about this for a second, because I want to stop you for a second here. So, in Italy, when you serve spaghetti, for example, let's just use that, and you serve meatballs, you don't serve spaghetti and meatballs together, the meatballs in the spaghetti, right? Everybody clarify that, because in the United States, of course, that's typical Italian-American way to serve things.
I think that it was done because of the first immigrant. They didn't have too much to eat, so they were trying to make, a dish of pasta with some complement of the meat. But for us, first of all, we call them polpette. And for us, it's something very special that is served as a second dish. Not as with pasta. Never with pasta. Ever. I mean, with pasta, we can do the meat with ragu, meat sauce. If you want, you can make tiny little polpettine and put it in. But definitely, we don't have meatballs. We don't know what it means. For us, it's polpette that you can do with melanzane, you can do with zucchini, you can do with meat, you can do with many other different things. And they are called... all of them, they're called polpette. So usually you have to have, if you have meat, for example, you have to add eggs, Parmesan cheese, breadcrumbs, fresh parsley, and that is, and then of course, the meat, the chopped meat. usually, beef. Or you can also have beef and pork, but usually it's beef. Then the other one, for example, you can make, like the one that we do tonight, is just zucchini, ricotta, parmigiano, eggs, if you like a little bit of nutmeg, and they're going to be also boiled. It can be very small. We will make some small and some big. And again, it's a second dish for us. The small one, there will be an appetizer. It has to be very crispy. The second one, because it's a summer dish, because we do zucchini, you can also be served cold. They don't have to be hot. Then another one that I do is very good is with fish, crab meat, into polpette. Or you can do salmon, or you can do, very good is melanzana, eggplant with smoked cheese.
Like a smoked mozzarella.
Smoked mozzarella or smoked, I like cheddar. I put cheddar when I'm here all the time.
She's been Americanized.
Yes, I became Americanized. So anyway, for us, polpette is really a very good summer dish and has a variation. So you can do a lot of the polpette with anything that you have in the garden. And then, for the winter, we do that one with the meat.
And you can do the same procedure basically for any vegetable, but the zucchini, I noticed one of the things that you're doing is you're salting it, right?
Well, unfortunately, it's going to be a problem tonight. It could be too watery because the zucchini, when I do the salad or when I do the polpette, the zucchini, I start in the morning to put the salt and put something, to drain out the water.
Well, we don't have watery zucchini here, so it's going to be fine.
I don't know. I hope so, because sometimes it's not so good to do it. But anyway, the zucchini salad is excellent. And then we do a pasta with zucchini and almond and ricotta, but it's going to be like a sauce. And we will, again, he wanted me to make zucchini, so I'm making zucchini. I was going to have tomato, but he said, no, let's have zucchini. I said, okay.
Yeah. Zucchini, how many people have gardens? Let's see. Okay, so quite a few people have gardens. How many people are drowning or will be drowning in zucchini? So really not that, only a couple of people? What, you don't plant zucchini or what is it? Oh, I see. That's how you get around it. You don't plant the zucchini. Okay, all right, interesting. How many people drowned in zucchini previously then? Yeah. Zucchini bread is wonderful. Yeah, that's a great one. But you have to wait for the microphone so that people can hear you.
You can also make zucchini jam. It's excellent. Google, it says zucchini jam, and you will find it. It's just sugar, zucchini, and some herbs. That's all. It's excellent. Yeah. You can do a lot of things with zucchini, really. I do zucchini, you do zucchini with, you cut the zucchini, small zucchini in half, and then you put the meat, the breadcrumbs. Just be careful. One second, because if the water goes there, it's going to be a problem.
We have a little bit of cooking shenanigans here. We're just trying to get the logistics correctly, taking the potatoes out without getting water into the oil, because that would be really not fun. They're not finished. Okay, so they're still going.
Now we can do the. Excuse me 1 second, but I have to make some zucchini.
Okay, you can make some zucchini, and you continue to work on that. And meantime, I'm going to talk to Jan Swinton for 1 minute, because
I wasn't sure I was going to get on.
Great. Okay, that's good. So you were where?
Oh, Regional Food Systems Working Group. It was our statewide meeting today. There are 17 regional food systems in Iowa, and we all got together and brought a few friends and stakeholders that work with us, and so we all met together.
Okay, and you all met together in Ames, and what was the outcome, basically?
We just all give reports. We let each other know what we're doing in our food system, and then we all collect ideas from one another and launch into the next big thing.
And was everyone jealous with what you're doing?
They are very jealous of what we do down here. Southeast Iowa is great. Yeah. So, I talked a lot about the greenhouse today. And I recently did the Register's annual Great Bike Ride across Iowa with Claude's Granola Bar. How many of you have had one of Claude's Granola Bars? Yeah. Maybe a third of them have had. So
Okay, well, maybe they'll get a chance to experience one.
we'd like to try that tonight.
Right.
Yeah, I've got quite a few here.
And Claude is one of our local farmers who's at the farmer's market, and you guys sold his granola bars all across Iowa, right?
All the way across, educating as we went. They have aronia berries in them. Aronia berry is a small bush. It can get up to 10 or 12 feet tall, but it's a bush that has little tiny, they look like blueberries, but they're actually a member of the apple family, and the texture is that of an apple, but the size and shape and color is like a blueberry. So they're funny little hard balls. And you don't want to eat them raw. They're very astringent. They will just pucker you right up if you try to eat them. So what he does is picks them now in the fall as they become ripe and throws them in the freezer. And then you take them out a few at a time, run them through the blender, and then put them into the aronia berry granola bars.
Sounds good. Now, give everybody an update on the greenhouse.
The greenhouse is coming together. We're all working very hard. It's a USDA-funded project, and it's for farm to school. The greenhouse will be 96 feet by 34 feet, and it's out behind the Voorhees manufacturing plant. The malleable iron old brick building is in that lot. And so we'll be there perpendicular to the railroad tracks along the back edge of the lot. We're doing some real creative engineering with the heating system. We're trying to use waste heat from the Voorhees plant. They use furnaces and blasting with sand that's very hot, 1,600 degrees in the hood over the furnace. And then by the time that air processes through their plant and starts heading out the bag house, it gets down to about 350 degrees and hopefully doesn't start the bag house on fire. And then by the time it's ready for us, it's down to about 160 degrees. So that 160 degree air will be used to heat water in pipes at the bottom of that air filtration system. And then from there, the water will go into a big, our county DOT donated a 17,000 gallon tank that they are no longer using. And so we're going to put that tank into the system. And so the heat from that, waste heat from that plant will go into the water in this tank. And then from the tank, there'll be a whole separate system of water that will go out under the ground about 4 feet down in PEX tubing like we do. Some of us do in our concrete floors in geothermal heated homes. So it's like that, only in the soil. And then actually, before we even put that in, below that, another 2 feet, we're putting in earth tubes, air tubes underneath. That air will circulate through the greenhouse, will force air down into those earth tubes, and then it will come up on the opposite corners. And so it's a little bit complex. Don't get confused.
Right. Now, how soon do you think there's going to be actual plants growing in that greenhouse, and that food, I think everybody, if they don't know, needs to know, is going to be used in school lunch programs?
Right. It's strictly for school lunch programs. Yeah, thanks. This is a really unique project in the state and everywhere in that it's a manufacturing partnership. And so Alliant Energy has been very helpful in the whole Fairfield economy and helping us to get our rewards programs going and all that sort of thing with Scott Tim. They have been really, really helpful in helping get the infrastructure put in. It's kind of an expensive infrastructure for all the steel and all the water and all the moving of pumps and water heaters and all that. So that's an expensive initial investment. And I can tend to get frustrated about that because it's expensive and yet we only really need it for a few days every year. When it gets real cold on a weekend and the plant's not running is the only time we'd ever really use that. But it'll be there. And it should be able to warm it up to the point where we can really grow summer plants. It wouldn't have to be just cold season plants in there. We're hoping for cherry tomatoes, but probably not this winter. But one thing at a time here. So we hope to get it up and running. Conservatively, we'll have lettuce for Christmas, but I think it'll be way before that.
Okay, anything else you'd like to add before we go back to Italy?
Back to Italy. Go for it.
Okay, Jan Swinton, our hometown coordinator for local food projects. You're listening to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss, and we have Gisella Isidori with us, and she's busy cooking away here. And I think that one of the things that I want to have you talk about a little bit is what is it that really continues to drive you? I mean, you are always busy. You're always on the go. You're always doing dinner. Every time I talk to you, oh, I'm cooking dinner for 25 people. Oh, I'm cooking dinner for 30 people. Oh, I'm doing this thing here and this thing there. You know, this is crazy.
No, it is not crazy because if I would not enjoy it, I would not do it. And I'm sorry that today I'm not, and it's a week that I have a problem with my leg, actually with my foot. So everything made me very slow down. And he said, oh, don't do too much, because I was going to make many more recipes. But, thank God we didn't do it because we did zucchini. It's going to be a problem. But I like to do this. I don't do cooking in Italy at all because actually I'm not in Italy a lot. Most of the time I'm here. And when I'm here, I make my friends very happy if I do cook for them and if I clean up their fridge. Americans, they have a tendency to buy a lot of stuff and then never use it. So when I go to their house, I clean up the fridge completely, the pantry. I never almost do any shopping because I use up whatever they have. And so they like me to go, and sometimes they even send me the ticket just to go there and cook for them. So that is perfect, like my friend in San Francisco. And I just enjoy it, and I like to, I think, make the people happy because it looks like they like what I make. But so mainly for myself because I like to be busy so I can stay young.
Now, when you're in Italy, though, one of the things that you love to do, I know, is you love to find new things, new types of food that you can introduce people to.
Yes. Really what I think that I like the history of the food, and I go to many different regions. And one of my last region and villages, because there you can really find the authentic Italian, old, simple country food. And the last time in October I was in Romagna. That is, Emilia-Romagna is a region of Italy, like in the center north of Italy. And I discovered a beautiful, beautiful area that is Romagna. And that is, if somebody else wants to that booklet, it will know everything about. But for example, I discovered a very small village, 2,900 people living there, totally organic. Totally is only row of beautiful grape and fruit, very famous for grape. And they have a garden in that little village. They have a garden with 450 different herbs. And I have this lady chef that she cooks only with herb and unforgotten fruit, because in that area where they have this garden, they also have this beautiful plant of fruit that they are not available anymore. They only have it there.
This is they call them essentially forgotten fruits. Here we might maybe talk about them as heirloom, but I think they're actually even more than heirloom. They're really forgotten.
Yes, totally. And this lady, she can cook you a complete meal without using butter or olive oil, just with herbs. And I mean, I had a salad, and to me it was impossible that this lady, didn't use any olive oil or vinegar. It was just a mix of herbs from the garden. So, like, if anybody will come with a trip that we are planning to have, that's what we're going to do.
They don't know what you're talking about, so we'll some of them might. So we'll mention it. Gisella is actually leading a trip to the region of Emilia-Romagna in May of 2014. And on this trip, it's basically a very intimate journey with Gisella to meet all kinds of wonderful producers of food, cheeses, wines, herbs, vegetables, traditional balsamic vinegar, parmigiano, reggiano, all the great foods of the region.
Di Parma.
And
I mean, the Emilia-Romagna is called the cornucopia region of Italy because it's so abundant of lots of things, from fruit to pork, of course parmigiano reggiano, grana padano, lots of very different cheeses. Really, it's a complete region. Very, the cuisine is very rich because the pasta, the handmade pasta is born there, the tagliatelle, the ragu, the ravioli, all these things are made in that region. So it was always, but they're very happy people, very, very happy people, because they work very hard, but then at a certain time they stop and they just want to enjoy. Most of each person plays an instrument. It could be piano, violin, or anything. I mean, they're just happy. They just want to live very nice. So when I went there, I met the young mayor. He's 32 years old, very cute. And I had 2 people with me. Actually,
Did anything happen?
3 cars. No, 3 cars. There were some people from Texas, some from Denver, and then a couple of people from Bologna. So I said, okay, meet me at the herb garden. So he set up for a special professor who spoke perfect English to explain to all my friends all about the herbs. And then he invited us for lunch in a very, very old monastery. But he met us at the herb garden with his bike. So we all follow with our car. We follow the mayor. He was leading us and he was on his bike all through the little village. So he's a very special man. And I like him. He's a very busy guy that every single weekend something is going on. So as I said, if you have the fortune to see where we're going to go, it would be very special. That is one of my favorite places that I discover lots of food that I didn't know, like these herbs and this unforgotten fruit.
Right. So that tour is going to be in May of 2014, and it's sponsored by MUM and also KRUU, who presents Great Taste, actually. And Gisella will be leading the tour. And I think the thing about it, the most exciting part about it, is that it's an opportunity for people to experience a country in a completely different way than they would normally experience it on a tour of their own. It's something that's going to happen in a very intimate way where you're going to meet producers. It's a tour that is really focused on food and people, those 2 things.
Well, not only people, but, you will meet really he will be really everybody say, the very special style of Italian living. And if you're going through these people, and to meet them, a part of the family, that is the experience that people are supposed to know. Like, for example, we will visit another farm, a 1600th century farm that I just met the people 4 months ago, and we became big friends. And I calling him a coach farmer because he's really, really a very special guy. He produces red wheat that is a very, very old wheat, one of the oldest wheat. He produces farro, but he produces also that vinegar, that balsamic vinegar and the condiment there. And he makes very, very good Lambrusco. But Lambrusco Grasporoso, there is a type of Lambrusco that is only in that area. So it's not the Lambrusco that you can have, not Lambrusco di Modena or di Sorbara. It's from that area, and it's a special grape. It's an autochthonous grape, so pure. And so they decided to come into New York June 20, and we spent 3 weeks together. I went crazy because I was trying to help her. She's a great alfresco artist, the wife. She makes alfresco, very beautiful. Alfresco like in the old days, like Raphael used to make with regular paint. And she's very busy now finishing a beautiful hotel in Milano and a restaurant, a top restaurant. But then she also does restoration. So I have to help her in a field that I didn't know because I didn't know, architect, interior, but I managed to find some pretty good one. And then at the other side was helping him try to make, we went to the fancy food show, so we did present the wine and the balsamic that you will taste with the zucchini. So that is a special farm, very special. There they have a restaurant where they only make traditional food from only that village. So they still cook in a 400 years old pot. Amazing. To me, it's one of the best. As I say, I met them in April, and we talked about, they wanted to come to the state to see if they can find out some business and some. I said, okay, we have a big event up in Catskill. It was a huge event for Thomas Cole, the painter, and I donated a trip to Italy to be auctioned. And it was auctioned for $5,000. So the couple was great because she's also a lady who buys very expensive artwork. So she's going to help her. And the son is study environment, and he has his own organic garden, so he wants to go to Italy to, to have this. So in less than 3 months, we all became a family, because I introduced them to every single friend of mine. So we were in Catskill, in Newport, in, Mystic. It's a beautiful little town. We were all over New York, of course. We were in Long Island. I'm telling you, that's why my leg was hurting me.
And now I can bring it down to so everybody is familiar with it, and that is that this gentleman actually grows the wheat that is in the Jovial brand. You can see that, for example, locally here, which is very interesting. So it's all organic, and it's as Gisella said. The thing about it's fascinating is that even people who are gluten intolerant, many of them can eat this wheat because it's one of the original strains of wheat that was from 10,000, 12,000 years ago that they've found. So it's very, very interesting. Anyway, this tour, if you're interested, you can speak to Gisella about it afterwards, and you can also speak to me about it. If you want more information, you can just email me. That's the easy way to do it. And we can easily get you information about it. There's only 21 spots on the tour, so we already have people that have signed up. So if you're interested,
but you can only make a second.
We could make a second one. Yes, that's very good, very positive. I like that. Okay, so now
we hope that the zucchini is getting ready, because, I wanted to go. Usually in Italy we do this early morning.
Well, we're just going to pretend that it's early morning, and everybody's just going to enjoy, so it's no problem, okay?
So now I can start maybe do the pasta. That would be easier, and they can take care of this one. So as soon as these are going to be finished, we will do the pasta.
Okay, good. So the beans are done. So I think that a couple of things we should do is we should absolutely go over very quickly what's in these different items again, because everybody's going to want to know, especially those people who are listening. The vegetarian zucchini and mint ball is zucchini, ricotta, parmigiano reggiano, egg, fresh mint, or you can use Italian parsley, a little bit of flour and breadcrumbs as needed, and salt and pepper. That's basically it. And
it's very easy. Read this one. No, read the rest.
You want me to read the rest?
Yes.
Okay. So after you slice the zucchini in very thin slices, and then you put them in a colander and add some salt. You squeeze out all the water.
Yeah, but
and you're working on it. And you add the ricotta, the parmigiano, the minced mint, the egg, the salt and pepper, and you prepare the mixture in a small ball. So don't you need to take the zucchini and put it in the food processor? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you put the zucchini
now
in the food processor.
they're on the salt, and I have to wash them. I cannot put them with the salt because it will be too salty. So I wash them, we put it there, and probably they will really take out a lot of, again, put a lot of water out.
We're not going to, it's okay, we understand that. So
probably flour or something to make it go.
Right. Okay. So the most important thing to remember then is you're going to take the zucchini, and this is the same if you salted eggplant. Some people just wipe it off, but you think you should wash it off.
Right.
The salt.
Well, we wash it because wipe it, still have salt on it.
Too much salt. And then you have to drain it again, though, after that. So at that point, when you make a little...
At that point, you get whatever is coming out. Sorry.
So you make a little roll and make a little zucchini balls, and then you can fry it in... we're going to be using sunflower oil, or you can bake it if you want to be the Emily Rose Shaw school, where you want to be a little bit less caloric, I guess you would say, right? Okay, and the pasta is going to just be whatever kind of pasta you like. We're using penne. And 4 medium zucchini sliced, some mint leaves, some garlic sliced, some almonds. You could also use pine nuts, but it's very difficult to get good pine nuts, so that's why we're using almonds. Pecorino cheese, extra virgin olive oil, salt, and freshly ground pepper. And basically what you're going to do is, how are you going to prepare that?
No, you read it.
You want me to read it? Okay. You're testing my reading. Okay, so... we're going to put the garlic and the almonds and the oil together in a food processor or blender until you have a smooth paste. So you're basically creating a pesto, okay? Right. You're creating a pesto. So you're creating a pesto out of the garlic, the almonds, and the oil. And then you put the pecorino in and a splash of water and briefly, pulse it again really quickly. And then you cook the penne as the, instructed. And while that's cooking, you fry the zucchini, or you can saute the zucchini if you like. Just season it with a little sea salt and a little black pepper. And then all you have to do is take the penne out of the water, place it on top of the zucchini right in that pan where the zucchini is, and add enough of the pesto that you made to coat the pasta completely without drowning it. In the States, we tend to drown everything in sauce. But in Italy, they don't do it that way.
No. And then, because we have so many zucchini, you can add more zucchini if you like to. So it will make it much more. And for example, I think that I will do, I also would like to keep some of the almond and just, put some of the almond after. I think I put it also down there. Right?
Okay. But why don't you discuss that for a second? I know when you finish a pasta in Italy, you never have enough sauce that it's just lying around in the bowl.
No, why we have to have it?
Okay. Did you hear what?
We don't like to make the pasta floater into horrible sauce like here.
That's what I'm getting at. Here you have a whole pile of sauce, right?
Yeah. They have to. It's like the pasta swim into a sauce. That if it would be a very good sauce, if you make a lot of sauce, the pasta will not really be a pasta. It would be a sauce.
Right. Actually, the
sauce pasta.
The pasta is the star. The pasta and whatever goes with it is the star.
Pasta. So what you have to make is to make something very, very good, very tasty. But we don't need to have a lot. Even the pesto, you don't have to really make a lot of pesto. You just make what is enough to make the sauce to bring it. That's what we know. For this kind, it's good to have the penne and sometimes to have penne rigate, because that means that they take in the sauce.
So you explain what that means, the rigate.
Well, rigate, the stripe.
Ridges.
No, it's stripe.
Yeah, but there's ridges. It's ridged.
Yeah. That is the best pasta to make the sauce with it.
Because the sauce sticks to the pasta.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And also try to have good pasta.
So, matter of fact, why don't, if you can explain just very briefly the difference between fresh pasta, what kind of sauce you might use for fresh pastas, and dried pastas, that would be good.
Okay, I'm not really a big fan of fresh pasta unless it's fillet pasta, like ravioli. But tagliatelle or tagliolini, tagliatelle are bigger and usually is made with ragu, a good ragu sauce that usually has to be prepared with at least 3 different types of meat if you want to make it good. And it doesn't have to float into lots of red tomato. Actually, if you go to Bologna, the sauce is very, very light, just a little color of tomato, but we don't really put tomato. The sauce, and that is a good sauce for tagliatelle. The same sauce that they also use for the lasagna, same thing. But again, not watery, has to be a nice, thick sauce. And that's why you don't need a lot, but you need a good one. Like everything else in Italy, you have to use good ingredient. Not too much. You don't have to put a bottle of horrible balsamic vinegar that it costs $10 that is made with caramello. Then you buy it for
caramel color.
Caramel color, but it's made with caramello, with sugar. So it's nothing to do with the real. Instead, buy something good, a little more expensive, but only use 2-3 drops. Same thing with olive oil. The olive oil has to be a very good extra virgin oil, but you don't need to put, when I do a sauce, I put maximum 2 spoons, sometimes not, maybe 1. And then I drizzle, after I finish my pasta, then I put, fresh olive oil on top, because that is for my concern, you can see and you can feel the aroma of the pasta, of the olive oil. I can tell you, if the olive oil that I can put in some pasta, I can tell you where it's coming from. When it's a very good olive oil, because like from the north you can have a flavor of very different herbs. From Sicily you have a lot of almond flavor. From area like Campania you have an artichoke flavor. See, the soil is giving us the flavor of the olive oil. And don't think about has to be green, has to be gold. The olive oil needs to suit your palate. What you like, I like Sicilian olive oil because I'm born near Switzerland, and in all my life, up until I was 16, I did not see or I did not know about an olive tree. because up at 2,000 meter high, we did not have it. So I learned, and my palate is more for sweet oil, not the peppery olive oil like Tuscany. I used to have a farm in Umbria, and my olive oil was very, very strong. I could not have it right away. I have to have it the year after. And again, people say don't have it after 1 year. It's not true. Just certainly, I go to certain pantry of my friend. I see olive oil that I gave them as a gift 5 years ago. Of course, I throw it out, But a couple of years is okay.
If it's a good olive oil, it will last.
Yes. If it's a very good olive oil, it's no problem. Okay, let me go back to this.
We're going to go back to this. We have to stop talking? For 1 second. Okay, we'll do that. So you're listening to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss, and we're visiting with Gisella Isidori, who is busy giving instructions right now to everyone, how to finish up all the different food. I think I'll go through the last is the salad, because that's a really interesting salad. So the salad, of course, stars zucchini. And you take the zucchini and you cut it into about 1/4 inch rounds, by the way. That's what these are 1/4 inch rounds. And you use salt and fresh ground pepper, garlic, fresh basil, fresh mint, and red wine vinegar. And so you want to cook the zucchini. You're actually frying the zucchini. That's what you're doing, frying the zucchini first for this particular salad. And after you finish frying it and you put a little salt and pepper on top of it, then you're going to take half of the garlic, basil, and mint leaves and also sprinkle them over the zucchini. So you're going to have essentially fried zucchini. Yeah, you'll show everybody, but we'll be off. The show will be over by then, so I'm telling everybody about it. So you're going to take the zucchini after it's cooked, and you're going to sprinkle sea salt, pepper, and garlic, basil, and mint leaves over it. And then you're going to drizzle vinegar over that whole vegetable mixture and toss it gently to coat. And then what you're going to do, if you have the time, is you're going to allow it to marinate for several hours, okay? So you're going to allow it to marinate. Now, they need to put it in the refrigerator and marinate it there for several hours. And then I would take it out of the fridge for a while before you serve it to get it a little bit closer to room temperature.
Of course, yes. Also because, and it looks like tonight everybody goes home with a doggy bag of zucchini.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, that'll be fascinating. I think that's really good.
And you have the recipe so you can make it.
All right. So what I wanted,
I think also you can bake it. You can bake. Like for example, when I make what do you call it, melanzana, parmigiana di melanzane. Eggplant. I don't do any more fried eggplant. I use it. I put it in the bake it.
Emily would really like that a lot. Now, I think what we're going to do for the last few minutes is we're going to take questions. Anybody have any questions for Gisella?
Hi, Gisella. I'd like to know on this herb garden you're spoken of. Can you remember some of the 450 herbs this woman is growing?
No, but you can have a website.
What? Well, hold on.
I send you the website. As a matter of fact, it's in that book.
There's a little. Okay, so what we're going to do is since we're on the radio and everybody would like to have that, we'll actually put the website on the blog post so that people can look it up. But this herb garden, many of the herbs in that garden are medicinal herbs, I think.
Yes, they are half and half, I will say. Medicinal but it's an amazing. This was built by a special man that had some money and he wanted from that little village, because it's called Casole Valsegno. And in, I think 1938, it started to have that. But it's a jewel. I mean, you go there, and before you see the herb garden, and then you go into the different room, and you can see the body of a person. I mean, like not a real person, but, they make a shape of a man and make a shape of a woman. And then in each little drawer, they have the herbs, and they point out if this herb is good for your brain, or what is this herb is cure for, what it's made for, and then another it tells you what is good for cooking. I mean, it's amazing. Plus the chef called Katia, I will also give you we can also put, she has this restaurant, and for example, she makes a soup with, I don't know what is in English, malva. I don't remember what is the name of malva. It's a leaf. And she makes a soup only with that. And it's amazing. And of course, she does gelato with lavender, Yeah, she's incredible. I just sent today a lady chef from New York who's going to be there for probably 3 months in Italy, but she's going to spend 1 week there. And because she said, I really want to know more about, and as I say, she will serve you a salad, and it's not olive oil. It's just herbs. Herb and maybe some flowers sometimes.
And what's interesting, too, is that on this trip, you're also going to visit a biodynamic herb farm in the other region, in Emilia-Romagna.
No, the other province.
The other province. Sorry, the region is Emilia-Romagna.
The region is Emilia-Romagna. And then has there are many provinces, but let's say Romagna is one. Romagna is the part that is at the sea, is at the Adriatic Sea, and Emilia is inland.
Right, so in Emilia, in the mountains, we're going to visit a biodynamic herb farm that has amazing, beautiful flowers, and hopefully they'll be blooming at that time. I think so. And it's very interesting because these herbs, some of them are used in Weleda products, which I'm sure many people are familiar with. So it's very, 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 very interesting.
And of course, everything there is 100%, organic, natural. It's not, that land was never touched, with any, what do you call it, OGM, GMI, whatever. I don't like it, so I don't remember how to say it.
Wait, can I smell that? I want to smell that. Smells really wonderful. Okay, so we're going to have some vinegar. So we're going to have a couple more questions.
Where can we get the pasta made out of the wheat that's so old, that's never been touched?
Jovial is the brand. You can find it here at local stores, actually. Jovial, Jovial. It's very interesting pasta. You can. It has a totally different texture than you're used to. Some people might say. Some people say that they don't like the texture. I prefer to say that it's because you're not used to the texture. It's totally different than that. Next week on Great Taste, I want to remind everybody that we have the Indian Hills Culinary Crew coming in 1 week early, and they're going to be making several dishes. One thing that I know they're going to be doing is they're going to be making some fresh fish dish, so that's going to be pretty exciting. And in addition to that, the following week, we won't be here. I'm going to take a week off. I know that's sad, and maybe nobody likes that, but that's just the way it is. But the week after that, the last week of August, Matt Steigerwald from the Lincoln Cafe and the Lincoln Wine Bar will be here live at Hy-Vee, and so that'll also be very exciting. So we have just a few seconds. So I want to, thank Gisella very much for being here with us, because it was a pleasure as always, and we so look forward to talking with you some more. And luckily, all those of us in this room get the opportunity to continue visiting with you and talking about the food. So would you like to just say a parting word to everyone who's listening to you?
Yes, I'm going to say arrivederci.
Perfetto.
That's the way.
You've been listening to Great Taste on KRUU 100.1 FM, the solar-powered voice of Fairfield, Iowa. I'm Steve Boss, and this has been 60 minutes of delicious radio.
Great taste. Sweet. Sour. So good to taste.